Bring it in the middle, in the middle.
Meghan Markle. God, having failed at making jam, potpourri and coloured water, flavoured water.
There was a time when the Duchess of Sussex was Hollywood's brightest returning star, a woman who had walked away from royalty, rewritten her story, and was ready to reclaim the spotlight on her own terms.
Ooh, I know! I'm so happy. There's such a great crowd, and they had no idea you were here, and this is fantastic.
After years of silence, she had the world's attention again. A streaming platform had handed her a multi-million-dollar deal. Scripts were being whispered about in studio hallways. Directors spoke of a rebirth. The Duchess stepping not just back into fame, but into power. And for a while, it worked. Behind the gates of a Los Angeles compound, production for her new docuseries was in motion. Cameras followed her morning rituals. Her team calls them vision sessions. The show, titled I'm Meghan, was meant to showcase strength, grace, and resilience. The ultimate Hollywood redemption story.
5 billion minutes have been watched.
Is that right?
45 billion as of this week.
But as one insider would later say, what was meant to save her career ended up revealing everything she'd tried to hide. Because somewhere between ambition and image, between control and chaos, something cracked. It started beautifully. The Duchess arrived on set in soft neutrals and a radiant smile. The crew described her as calm but commanding, walking through lighting checks with quiet confidence. She wanted perfection, but more than that, she wanted truth. At least, that's what the press release said. The Duchess is eager to show her authentic self. The official statement read, "This project will reveal the woman behind the headlines." Hollywood buzzed. Talent agents called it a masterstroke. The fashion magazines dubbed it the comeback of the decade. Inside the studio, every detail was carefully curated. The lighting golden, the decor minimalist, the tone intimate. She sat cross-legged in a cream cashmere sweater, speaking about self-discovery, forgiveness, and the power of storytelling.
So I think probably it was different several years ago.
Viewers would have seen perfection, but according to multiple insiders, that wasn't what the cameras captured when they stopped rolling. By week 2, tension had begun to simmer. Crew members spoke quietly among themselves about reshoots, control issues, and off-camera outbursts. One producer described the atmosphere as walking on eggshells. It wasn't hostility, they said. It was pressure, a kind of relentless demand that every frame, every gesture, every tone means something. She'd watch playback over and over. One insider revealed, if a single angle wasn't flattering or the lighting wasn't warm enough, she'd say, "We need to do it again." Sometimes, she'd redo a 5-second shot for hours. The streaming network began to notice delays. Budgets crept higher, schedules stretched. But for the Duchess, this wasn't chaos, it was art, she told one executive. "If I'm going to be seen again, I have to get it right this time." But perfection has a cost, and soon, that cost began to spill into every corner of production.
As I said before, the problem about Meghan is she always looks good. She always survives. You never see a moment of weakness in public.
The same cannot be said about Harry.
The day everything changed started like any other Duchess. Arrived early, coffee in hand, her personal team trailing behind. Cameras were being set for a die-in-your life sequence, a mix of family time, creative meetings, and a reflective speech about healing after public judgment. But just hours later, the project would be derailed. By something no one saw coming because someone's still unidentified, recorded what happened on set that afternoon, and what that audio contained would shake her comeback to its core. According to leaked transcripts, the Duchess can be heard arguing with a senior producer over the creative direction of the episode. She reportedly demanded that a particular sequence, one showing her in tears, be removed entirely. "I don't want people's pity," she said sharply. "I want their respect." The producer pushed back gently, but that moment was real. It's powerful. Her tone turned icy. "It's not real if I didn't choose it." Then came a long silence, followed by the sound of something falling. A chair, maybe a script binder. The recording cut off there within 48 hours. That audio had been leaked to a gossip outlet, and by morning, it was everywhere. #Duchess Meltdown trended globally. Clips were dissected, Memes multiplied, and talk shows debated whether she was too demanding or simply a perfectionist in control of her image. The network panicked. Executives called emergency meetings. Lawyers drafted statements. The Duchess, meanwhile, vanished from public view. When she finally resurfaced days later, she wasn't smiling. Gone was the poised elegance. In its place, a woman visibly shaken. Insiders say she broke down during a closed-door meeting with her publicists, tears streaming as she whispered ... but the damage was done. Brands began to distance themselves. A luxury label quietly paused a planned collaboration. Her podcast sponsor pulled back. Streaming executives considered shelving the series altogether. Every minute of footage became radioactive. One insider revealed you couldn't watch it without hearing the echo of that leaked audio. Meanwhile, Hollywood, a town built on reinvention, began to turn its back. Agents stopped returning calls. Magazines that once fought for her cover now ran think pieces titled The Duchess and the Danger of Overexposure. Even among her closest allies, whispers began to spread. Maybe she pushed too far. Maybe people are tired of the narrative, and perhaps most. Devastating of all, viewers began to question the one thing she'd built her entire brand on: authenticity.
To acting for the first time in 7 years.
Was the vulnerability she showed on camera genuine, or was it another performance? Had the woman who once escaped the world of palace facades built a new one around herself? In the weeks that followed, the Duchess tried to regain control. She held private strategy sessions with crisis managers, rewrote talking points, and planned a clarifying interview to tell her side of the story. But even that backfired. When word leaked that she'd hired a top PR firm known for political damage control, tabloids called it the Duchess's last stand. An anonymous source claimed the network had already halted production indefinitely. Officially, they said it was for creative realignment. Unofficially, insiders admitted the show was unreleasable in its current form. Every leak brought another headline. Every headline brought another round of speculation.
This month here at our cottage, just a standard, typical night for us.
It's a cozy night. What were we doing? Just roasting chicken and having
trying to roast chicken.
Trying to roast.
And through it all, the Duchess stayed silent, at least in public. But one person who saw her in those weeks described her as utterly heartbroken. She wasn't angry, the source said. She was just lost. She kept saying, "I tried to do everything right this time. I tried to show them my heart." That's when the question began. Circulating through Hollywood, had the world turned on her? Or had she simply tried too hard to control the story? In an industry that worships authenticity but punishes imperfection, the Duchess had walked the tightrope and fallen. And as the leak continued to dominate headlines, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a PR crisis. It was the unraveling of a second act that had been years in the making. The comeback was collapsing, and for the first time, she couldn't rewrite the ending. Hollywood is a town built on whispers, and when the leak hit, the whispers became a roar. Inside executive offices, the air was thick with tension. Streaming platform executives held emergency calls, their voices clipped and anxious. Damage control, one said. Do we pull the series or read it? Another countered. The public wants authenticity. We can't fake it now. Agents once eager to secure projects for the Duchess hesitated. Calls went unanswered. The once open doors of meetings with directors now remained firmly closed. People are scared, an insider admitted. They don't want to be associated with someone whose story is now unstable. It's a risk, and in Hollywood, risk is everything. Behind closed doors, conversations were brutal but precise. Her brands fractured. One studio executive told a colleague, "Fans were buying her redemption. Now they're buying drama, and not the kind you can monetize." Critics and journalists circulated draft headlines. Some read, "The Duchess and the Cost of Control. When Comebacks Collapse. A Tale of Tears and Tension. Hollywood's Most Expensive Meltdown." Even those who had once championed her Rise magazine editors, talk show hosts, and social media influencers began questioning her authenticity. She's always been a master of narrative, one columnist admitted, but this time, the narrative slipped and the camera caught it. Every leaked clip, every viral soundbite became fodder for speculation. Twitter threads multiplied by the hour, memes circulated like wildfire, and Late-night shows dissected her every word. Hollywood, notoriously forgiving when someone can turn a scandal into cash, was strangely unforgiving this time. The Duchess herself retreated. Sources describe her as devastated but determined. Not angry, but visibly broken. She reportedly spent long hours in her private suite, reviewing footage, reading scripts, and rewriting notes. She cried a lot. One crew member revealed, not because she lost face, but because she felt the world didn't see her truth. She kept saying, "I just wanted them to understand me." Friends tried to offer comfort, reminding her that setbacks were part of every career, but even wishes felt like pressure. Hollywood doesn't wait. One insider explained, "If you stumble, they move on. And everyone else is already running toward the next story, the next star, the next trend." The leak quickly became a full-blown media storm. Every detail was magnified. The chair that fell during the argument, the off-camera outburst, the moments of private frustration leaked as audio snippets. Entertainment shows, social media influencers, and gossip columns dissected every second. Headlines alternated between sympathetic and scathing. From royalty to reality, the Duchess struggles in Hollywood, perfection or paranoia. Behind the scenes of A Star's Breakdown, when the comeback crumbles. Lessons from the Duchess's meltdown. Meanwhile, streaming numbers for her teaser footage dropped. Fans who once praised her candor began commenting skeptically. How real is this if we keep hearing about breakdowns? The very authenticity she'd sought to showcase became a weapon against her. Inside the corridors of Hollywood power, opinions were divided. Some executives argued for a total rebrand, a pivot that could salvage the project. Others, however, warned that any attempt to rewrite the narrative would backfire. Audiences can smell control, one producer said. If we try to sanitize it now, it'll feel manufactured worse than the leak itself. Directors who had pitched projects to her began pulling back. Agents quietly advised clients to avoid on-set collaborations. Even fashion brands, previously lining up partnerships, froze deals. The aura of untouchable glamour had faded. Hollywood's response was clear. The comeback could survive, but only if the Duchess reinvented, rebuilt, and redefined her image. She didn't give up. Sources report that the Duchess held private interviews with select journalists, giving candid reflections on her process, her struggles, and the immense pressure she felt to get it right. She spoke of vulnerability, authenticity, and resilience. The very traits that had originally won fans over. Every mistake, every misstep. It's part of the journey, she said, her voice steady but raw. I wanted to show the real me, and maybe that meant showing my tears. Her team orchestrated controlled social media posts, emphasizing moments of creativity, humor, and philanthropy. Clips of her mentoring young creatives, speaking on women's empowerment panels, and engaging in charity projects were released straight